Welcome back to Noveleando.
Yay!
My name is Gloria De Leon, and I'm here with the amazing Gabriela Revilla Lugo.
Amazing! Hi!
And I forgot to say last time, writer, producer, any other... wait, do you direct?
I do.
You do? Yes.
I did. I just had a movie come out, Secret Life of a Dominatrix on Tubi.
Wait, that you directed that one?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were producing. You were producing and directing?
Just directing.
Just directing. Oh, okay. Well, my bad. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so also, we just saw the the trailer for it, and looks super intense. Combines like all the like funnest things to watch, which is, from what I could tell in the trailer, it's like sexy times, but also like murder. Yes. Am I on the right track?
There is a really fun murder scene. Couple of murders happen, but there's a really fun murder scene.
That is the first time I've heard anyone describe a murder scene that way. A really fun murder scene.
You should watch it. It is I'm very proud of the murder. Yeah.
Oh, well, I will definitely have to check it out. So, why don't you tell us right off the top, like, where can we watch it?
You can watch it on Tubi for free, which is like, I'm so happy and in. And then you can also visit my website, GabbyRevillaLugo.com, and it will tell you where else you can find it.
Oh, okay, cool. Did you have it shown at any of the festivals or anything?
No, so this is the first time I got hired by a studio to just direct a movie that they already had. So I was like, girl, really? Okay,
nice.
Cool. Yeah, usually I have to beg, borrow, steal, threaten imminent murder to get anybody to make any of my stuff. But they sort of came to me, and it was really fun to do it that way.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Were you involved with the writing process?
I did a pass. But it was written by a woman named Dana Brower, who is lovely, and she really came up with the concept.
Oh, okay. So when you say you did a pass, what does that mean? So
directors get to do a director's pass on the script, just to make sure that it aligns with the vision that you are bringing to life.
Oh, okay. And then if you have any questions or do you get to pitch edits or?
Oh no, I just got to make the edits, which was nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That is nice.
Yeah, I just got to change everything. But I am so respectful of writers, because I am a writer, that I called her and sort of walked her through the changes I would make and asked her if she had any objections, and she was very collaborative in that way, and she was like, no, it's your movie now, you take it and run with it. So it was a fun way to do it, but it was great to talk through it with somebody who had probably tried a few of these things before, and she could speak to why it worked and why it didn't work.
That's so cool. So I guess it's not always you get that chance to do something where you get to communicate with the writer like that.
Yeah, a lot of times, I've worked on much bigger movies where the director just takes the script and they don't even, the writer will see what changes happened in the final edit of the movie. And sometimes it's they're drastic changes, you know? In this one, I introduced a whole new character, and so I really talked her through why I thought that was important. And, she expressed any concerns that she had, and that's how I think we were able to make it a better movie.
And it sounds like the writer was also very receptive to your suggestions. To your
receptive, yeah.
That's great. Love collaboration.
Me too.
Well, we're going to talk about the ultimate collaboration, making a baby.
I love your segues.
So this episode is about a novela called The Surrogacy, or Madre De Alquiler. It is on Netflix, and it is a novela. It's definitely traditional novela style, but it was contracted by Netflix, so it has a much smaller amount of episodes. It's produced by Argos Media Group, who we've seen before. They produced Danny Who, and they've just been doing they've just been on fire. They've been producing so many things. They're a great production house. They they originally came about as a way to produce telenovelas for Telemundo and Televisa, and eventually moved away and are now doing a lot of more streaming stuff. And if you want to learn more about Argos Media Group, you can go back to our Danny Who episode, where we talk a lot about the deals they have and their staff and how they came together. They're actually a really fascinating group. But this novela also deals with, as our previous episode did, with the concept of surrogacy and what happens when you fall in love with the person who you're supposed to be like being a surrogate for. But it's like a completely separate novela from Barriga de Luguel, which we did last episode.
Is that the underlying IP though? Does anywhere in the title cards does it say like based on
No.
Madre De Alquiler? It's so interesting.
No, it does not say that. I don't believe it really, other than the concept of surrogacy and the complications of the romantic complications of that. There really is no other link to Barriga de Luguel. So this one, it primarily centers around this family. I think it takes place in Mexico. Yes, it's definitely Mexico, because they also play with themes of like racism, like very heavily, and also like social status, and the whole story, there's like an undeniable villain in this story, whereas I think in the last episode we were like, well, who here is the bad person, and it kind of like switches from one to the other. This one, Madre de Alquiler definitely has a villain, and the villain is this like matriarch of this family, and this family owns a pharmaceutical company where they actually make they make this product. It's a medicine that they're giving women while they're pregnant. And so the sort of side story going on while the surrogacy thing is happening is that they have this product on the market that is causing birth defects in the babies of the women who are taking this, like what are supposed to be like prenatal vitamin type things.
Oh my God, that's such a heavy thing in a novela. Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so the matriarch of this family and like the owner of the pharmaceutical company is Nora Arango de Huizar, and she is played by the amazing actress Leticia Calderon. She is just like, love to hate her. She had previously, like her most famous role I think was Esmeralda, where she was just this like really like very soft-spoken, very virginal young woman. And here she kills it. She's so,
literally.
Yes. And so she owns Huizar Pharmaceuticals, and she is trying to suppress, there's like protests and stuff of people who are boycotting or trying to make public what's happening with like the birth defects that these babies have who've taken their medication. So Nora has 2 adult children. She has Carlos, and she has Fernanda. So Carlos is married to Julia, and Carlos and Julia are the couple who's trying to have kids. They have not managed to have any. And Fernanda's the sister, Carlos' sister, and she has a son. Her and her husband have a son. And so part of what's motivating like the plot line of the story is the fact that like Carlos and Julia like just Julia desperately wants to have kids, like in the previous novela. So she supposedly had tried an IVF treatment with Fernanda. So Fernanda, the sister, or her Julia's sister-in-law, had offered to be their surrogate. And you think like, oh, that's cool, nice family, but it didn't take. But then you learn that like Fernanda doesn't want them to have kids because of the inheritance. Because if there's another kid, her kid isn't the only one. So Fernanda's not motivated.
So juicy.
I know. So she's not motivated for them to have a kid.
Wait, so did she purposely like?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Fernanda purposely sabotages her own pregnancy so that she won't have their surrogate kid.
Oh, that is so cold.
Yes. And so also Fernanda's husband also works for the pharmaceutical company. So he's got like his hands all up in there too.
It's like a Shiv Tom situation from Succession.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't seen it, but it sounds like it.
Oh my God. It's very like the novela for white rich people.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we could talk about it sometime.
It looks intense when I've seen the commercials.
Yeah.
So finally, Carlos and Julia decide to try. They have one more chance because they've spent all of their money. They have one more chance at surrogacy. And Julia basically sees this girl because she has this friend she goes to visit, and when she goes to visit her friend, she sees this girl leaving his apartment because I guess her friend is like in university, and so this girl she sees leaving his apartment is one of his like university classmates, and she sees this girl who is which by the way, like all of the like Nora's like the rich kids, they're all very white. And so Julia is also very white, and she sees like a very clearly indigenous woman. And so she is our main character, and that's Yenny. Yenny is, she's from low social status, but she's going to school. She's trying to get ahead. Yenny, her and her dad, she doesn't have a mom, so it's just like her and her dad, they're like best friends. They're working in the city, and she's trying to go to school. And one day when they're driving to work, like their car gets like stopped. They get attacked, and there's these two like dudes who stop them, and there's a gun involved. The gun goes off, and Yenny's dad like ends up like killing one of these guys. And so Yenny then like her dad goes to jail, even though like it was self-defense. And so then this shady lawyer comes out, and he's like, I can help get your dad out, but these are the conditions. So Julia had actually set up this whole thing so that Yenny would have to be her surrogate.
No.
So
do you find that out right away? Like, do you see it as it's happening in real time, or is that something that's given to you later?
It's given to you in like episode 2. So you don't know right away, but very soon you find out that, because they call Julia and they're like, oh, well, we did it. Also, they were supposed to give the weapon was supposed to have blanks in it. And so somebody fucked up, and this guy's dead, which was not part of the plan. But it was part of the plan to get them pressured, like get him in jail or get them pressured or figure out a way to make Yenny agree to be the surrogate.
Because it had to be her. She was like the chosen one. There was no one else that she could just offer money to and say like, yo, do you want to make $100,000?
She needed someone she could manipulate, someone low status, someone who needed it. So then she's in this position. Yenny makes it very clear to like her dad that like her and her dad are just like trying to make life easier for each other, and they have this very close relationship. And from the very beginning, she's like, it's just you and me. She's not looking to date. She's not looking to get pregnant. She's not looking to have a family, because she's like, whatever I do, I'm going to do for me and my dad. And she's very committed to that. So when this whole thing happens, she agrees to it, and she's like, never has intentions of keeping the kids. And that's something that's different from like, I think the previous novela. Yenny, from right the onset, she's like, a kid is not in my plan. I don't want one. So she agrees to it. She agrees to the contract, and she is kept at like Carlos and Julia's like summer home. So she's not like in their house, but she is kept kind of prisoner there. Like she's not allowed to leave.
Close to them.
Yeah. And they are very controlling, so Carlos does end up spending a ton of time in the house. We have a repeat where like they end up kind of liking each other. It's a little unclear at first whether he is just playing along or if he really likes her. But he does like that she has a completely different life to him, that she has dreams, she has goals, and I think like, I don't know, him and Julia just haven't been connecting a whole lot. So yeah, they fall in love, and then Nora is not okay with the surrogacy plan at all. First of all, because their surrogate is an indigenous person, and so she has a problem with that. So then they're supplying Yenny with like the prenatal care. So she gives Yenny a thing so that she can have an abortion, basically. So Yenny does at one point have this like scare where she ends up going to the hospital, and she loses the baby, so then she's not pregnant anymore. But also around that time, she sleeps with Carlos.
Ay, Dios mío.
Yeah. And again, you're confused because Carlos is the only one that knows that she went to the hospital because he went to go get her, and the only one that knows that she lost the baby. Like, she doesn't even know she lost the baby.
How does she not even know?
She goes into the hospital. The doctor talks to him thinking he's the dad, that he's the husband, and tells him she's lost the baby. But he doesn't tell her. So then he sleeps with her, and it's unclear whether he did it intentionally or he was just like meaning intentionally trying to trick her into having another baby. So basically, Yenny delivers twins. Yes, twins. Because it's a novela.
Of course, and it wouldn't be a novela without twins.
Yes. So then there's a girl and there's a boy. And now it's unclear, like, to us, the audience, like, whose babies are these? Like, did she lose the baby? Did she not? Did she have new babies? And so she does deliver twins. The girl is born fine, and the girl is given to Julia. Now she has her baby, but whatever. The boy is born with the same birth defect as the ladies from the medical trial thing. Wow. So he has like a club foot, and somehow Nora arranges for this. She doesn't want this, like, quote unquote, like, defective baby, and she wasn't on board with any of this to begin with. So essentially, after she has the babies, she wakes up on this park bench with her boy baby, having no idea that she gave birth to twins, and also she has a baby she doesn't want.
Oh my
She actually doesn't want the baby. She's like, come get your baby. And she keeps trying to call Carlos because she's like, I have your baby. Like, I had it because you paid me, and now I don't want it. Like, I never wanted it.
Oh my God.
So now she's faced with, like, raising a kid she doesn't want to have. And then...
But she's nice to it.
She is nice to it. She's like, well, it's a baby, you know? Yeah. So she's, like, unintentionally raising this baby. And so then, like... you kind of come to find out, like, Julia also didn't know that there were twins. She was only given the girl baby. And then throughout, like, this novella has a lot of, like, time lapses, all up until the time that the two babies are now, like, 17.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, and there's, like, a few different breakups of that. But basically throughout, it's this circle story where at one point, like, Jenny finds out that there were two babies and that the girl baby is with Julia, and then at one point she decides, like, well, I don't think she ever wants to claim the girl baby. She's just trying to give them the boy baby. And then Julia finds out there's another baby and she wants it too because she's like, they're both my kids. But then what complicates the story more is that
they're not her kids.
They're not. So, well, sort of. So there's this episode where they kind of explained it, and I tried to understand it. So the lab test, because of all this confusion, I forget who, somebody does a lab test. Like, somebody steals somebody's DNA to try to get a lab test, and the lab test proves something called superfetation. And so that's when you get pregnant while you're already pregnant.
Oh my God.
So so it turns out that the boy baby, who's like white, very white, who she has, and who has the club foot, he is actually the IVF baby that is Julia's and Carlos's baby. And the girl baby is actually Jenny's, and she is being brought up and raised in Carlos and Julia's household. So they're swapped.
Yeah, I see.
So then when they each find that out, like, they each want the other baby because that's their baby. But now she's raised this son who she loves, right? And Julia's raised her daughter who she loves. But in the course of that, Julia has also kind of been, like, brought up by the grandma, who is, like, super racist. And a lot of, like, other, like, side stories going on. There's also, like, Nora, the matriarch, she is dealing with, like, all these protesters and the women who are, like, accusing them of the defects and stuff. And so she, like, tries to get, because Jenny joins these women because she needs help financially to raise her kid because her kids need surgeries as a result of the medication. So she becomes a part of this group of women. So they try to, like, there's this bomb that goes off where, like, all the women are at, and, like, Jenny included. And so, like, they're trying to kill her, but, like, somebody warned her and they got her out.
Oh, you mean like a literal bomb?
A bomb, like a literal bomb.
Wow.
It happens because they're trying to eliminate all these women. And, like, and then it, like, Jenny's dad, like, dies. So then she's left, like, alone. And now the connection she had with her dad is now the connection she has with her son. She's like, it's just you and me. It's us together against the world. So she takes him to her hometown to, like, and she raises him, like, in her community. And he is a bit ostracized because he's, like, super white. And so flash forward, he's now, like, 17. And do you know, I don't know if there's this group of performers, like acrobats in Mexico, called Los Voladores de Papantla.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they do like aerial acrobatics. And so I guess it comes from like indigenous culture. So he's training for that. He like wants to be a part of the group.
Even though he has this foot issue.
Yeah, so I guess they were able to like fix it with surgeries and stuff. Because while all of these women were coming forward with all these issues, Carlos is also, he's finding out about all that and he feels like really guilty. So that's kind of how you're supposed to, I think, identify that he's actually a good guy, is that he's actually giving money, like compensation to all these women, and he's taking care of all of their babies like needs, like medical needs. So he's committed. He's like, well, we fucked up, we shouldn't have done that, let's help these women out.
So he is like loaded, this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. His whole family is like loaded. And so, and you know, Nora is just like super pissed because she's like, who am I going to leave this company to? You're all too nice. You're all imbeciles, basically. And so Nora's, so she has Carlos and Fernanda are her two kids, and Fernanda has her son who's supposed to inherit everything, but her son is actually just like really sweet and a nice person, so she doesn't like him. Nora doesn't like him.
Amazing.
So she prefers Tessa, who is the daughter Julia is raising, who's actually Jenny's daughter.
Even though she is more brown.
Yes, but she's only like slightly enough that she doesn't notice.
Got it. Yeah, she's passing enough. It's fine. We'll just get her like more white powder.
Yeah, yeah, because she doesn't know what happened. She just knows that was one of the twins, but she doesn't know about the superfetation thing. So Nora just assumes that's Julia and Carlos's daughter. So then she kind of takes her under her wing. So then Tessa becomes kind of a bitch. Like, she essentially is turning into like a young version of her grandmother. She's horrible. She's like a terrible person. And then, so somebody takes a video of, so Luciano is Julia's son, the one that is being raised by Jenny. Mm-hmm. So Luciano does this Voladores de Papantla acrobatics thing, and somebody like records a video of it, and then they tag the video as like, look at like the white indigenous dude. Like they very specifically tag it that way, and it gets really popular. And then somebody says his name during the video, and they knew, like Carlos knew that was the baby's name. Like eventually he knew, but Jenny was just like so tired of them fucking with her. She was like, I just want to be left alone. So she disappears off the face of the earth, and he's been trying to find her for years. Finally, the video comes out. He sees her, tries to get in contact with her, but also Nora finds her too, and she gets to her first, and she's like, how much do you want to get out of our lives? And she's like, I don't want to be in your lives at all. Like, y'all got to stop chasing me. And so then eventually, like, the big conflict happens when the two siblings meet, and they find out that they're swapped. Because Tessa loses her shit. Because she just found out that she's indigenous, and she'd been really clear about how she felt about indigenous people or any non-white person. And she goes through this, like, crisis. But then all throughout this, there's also just a lot of, like crime happening, because like there's like the guy who initially years ago had participated in the crime where Jenny's dad shot the other guy. Yeah. Well, the guy that got shot, it was two brothers, the ones that were conducting like the heist or whatever, the card jacking. And so one of the brothers died, and the other brother got shot in the foot. And there's like this whole side story about how he's trying to get revenge for his brother, but then it turns out that like there weren't supposed to be bullets in the gun. So even though he was blaming Jenny and her dad, really the real murderer was the guy that hired them, because he made sure there were bullets in the gun. Right. He also made sure not to take the guy to a hospital. He took him to like some person to fix up his foot, which left him with like a deformed foot, and then there was like a whistleblower within the company.
Side note, they're really into feet.
They're really into feet. Yes, you're right.
Continue, sorry.
It was like the whole basis of this man's like revenge plan. And they like there's like kidnappings that happen, and throughout this whole thing, like at one point they try to kidnap like Jenny and her kid, and then they try to kidnap Julia for like a variety of reasons, because everyone's just like got different reasons to like be committing crimes.
Yeah.
And then there's like the whistleblower, and like she's in there somewhere. She's trying to collect information so that they can take We Said Pharmaceuticals like to trial. And then there's in the case with the women who had the babies with the clubfoot, one of the women, they like ended up like killing her, and then her husband is then like, he is like fighting really hard because they kill his son and his wife, and then he ends up going to jail like as a scapegoat for something else. And I think that's where he meets somebody.
Jenny's dad?
He meets, no, because at that point Jenny's dad had already died. But he does meet someone in jail. I forget who he meets, and they become friends, and that's part of the story. And then there's also just like, just like a lot of side characters. Eventually...
So what happens when Tessa meets her brother? Does she eventually like love him, or is she always trying to like murder him?
Well, so because there's so many other like side crimes happening, eventually Tessa realizes that one of the side crimes is that when her grandma finds out that she's indigenous, that she's Jenny's daughter, she tries to kill her.
Ooh.
And then that is like the moment when Tessa's like flip switches, and she's like, oh, okay, so you're bad, so you're like not a good person. So once she realizes like her idol, her grandmother, is actually like so bad that she will erase all of her love for her just by knowing she has a tiny bit of like indigenous blood in her.
That's so crazy.
And so that completely flips her off, and she goes like, okay, she switches sides, and she's like, I want to be with the people that care about me, that love me. And so then they do become friends, like her and her brother do become friends. And then Julia and Carlos, basically Carlos had been looking for Jenny for so long, and he tells Julia like, I'm in love with her. Like he straight up tells her. And so
like
all
early on, or
yeah, like pretty early on. And so then they've been together for like 17 years or whatever, and she knows he's still looking for Jenny. So they've just kind of been in this like loveless marriage. You do kind of feel for Julia because she's like a really nice person, but also someone who hired someone to like...
Yeah, like, how nice is she really?
Yeah.
She's like, I did this one bad thing,
but
it's fine.
That's exactly what it seems like. Because, like, they do a lot to put her in a very positive light, but then there's just, like, one major thing she did.
Right.
So it's a little bit... Her character is quite complex. There are times when you're, like, you feel bad for her, but also she's not a great person. Like, it's very complicated.
That's where I find that like Latin American stories are so random in that way, that like anything can happen, whereas like maybe we talked about this last time, but American stories always have to have like a just ending, right? Like it doesn't have to be good or bad, but it has to be just. Like the person that did the bad thing has to pay for the thing that they did or have some sort of comeuppance. And in our stories it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Bad things happen.
Yeah, it's like sometimes things are kind of just like, if they happened long enough ago, like it's fine. So
she tried to kill somebody 17 years ago, guys. Get over it.
Yeah, no, but now she's like a mother who's like in pain, and also like a wife who her husband doesn't love.
Yeah.
And so like the part of her story that you're supposed to kind of feel for is the fact that like no one loves her. Like she's like very alone. Because even in this family, like she, I think initially was not as high status as they were. So Nora always looked at her as like a step
Less
down.
than, yeah.
So she just feels like everyone hates her, and like she just is always crying. Like she's always alone, and she's always suffering.
And even her daughter is not nice to her?
No, her daughter's not nice to her either. Her daughter hates her pretty much. So there's this like guy that on Jenny's side, there's this guy who has like fallen in love with like I guess he was in love with Jenny for a bit, and then he was in love with like one of Jenny's friends, and he also has just been like unlucky in love. But in the end he ends up meeting Julia and like takes her out to dinner, and she has like the best time for the first time in like 2 decades. And they just like go dancing, and it's like really nice. So basically she finds love, so she's not after Carlos anymore. So then Carlos and Jenny are free to like be in love. And then Nora, now that she finds out that Luciano's actually like her white grandchild and he doesn't have a club foot anymore,
Right.
she's like, you're the chosen one. Like, leave your family. You're gonna inherit like all of my wealth and all that. So she like changes her will so Luciano gets like everything and like fuck everyone else. And in the incident where she had kind of tried to kill Tessa, there's like a mix-up that happens and they end up killing her cousin, Fernanda's son.
Right.
And that's part of what makes Tessa like flip, because she really had she did love her cousin, and she sees how horrible like her grandma tried to kill her and ended up killing her other grandchild, and she just cannot be on their side anymore. So now Luciano's like the only heir that she cares about, because her kids are fuck-ups. And so so Nico, the cousin, he dies of a gunshot. And then And
does Fernanda kill her mom?
Fernanda turns on her mom, where she definitely, after her son is killed, she turns on her. She doesn't kill her. And this is where I was like a little dissatisfied. Basically, like, Nora has a stroke.
Oh, come on.
I know. I was like, no, she's the clear villain.
Like, at this point, we've had bombs, we've had twins, we've had, like, all of these
straight
things.
up murder.
Like, commit!
I know. So she just has some kind of stroke, which I was really upset. I was like, if this bitch dies before anyone can, like, stop her, I'll be so mad. But luckily, she doesn't die. So what they do is she's in a stroke where she's just paralyzed. And I guess in a way, like, all right, I accept that ending where because she's incapacitated, everything is passed over to Luciano, but he's a minor still. So everything goes to Jenny. And Jenny is in her like power suit at the top of this building in her office. Amazing. Commanding this pharmaceutical company. Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I guess in some ways it's better because Nora has to stick around and like be powerless to stop it.
So she's present and she sees it. Like, she sees it. I kind of wish they would have given her like a little bit of an ability to communicate so we could like see her anger. But she is like there. She's conscious. She just is like paralyzed. But she sees everything happen. And then the whole company goes over to Jenny, and Jenny and Carlos are together. Now the kids are friends, and now Julia has her partner. So they kind of all do become like
a family.
One family. Yeah.
Again, Carlos, the man.
Yes.
It's like everything works out for them and everything is good for them all throughout. Like, never lost his like status like with the marriage. You know, then he gets together with the other woman, and she now has money and power. Like, so it all works out for him.
Yeah.
Both. Yeah. I don't know, ladies. We gotta, like, reevaluate some of these, like, storylines of how nice we are to these men.
I mean, I think that they definitely touch on both, like, each other's fetishization, because they do comment on how, like, Julia tells, because she's, like, writing letters and stuff, and she does talk about how this guy is not someone that would ever normally, under normal circumstances, ever pay attention to her. So she, in a way, is like, I know it's wrong, but for this moment, I just want to pretend I'm, like, the princess in the castle, even if it's a cell I'm locked in, and he's not going to be with me in the end. She just wants to enjoy her, like, white boy, basically. And he, I think, has a similar, like, fetishization of someone who's more low status, someone who isn't his wife.
Amazing. Now I have to go watch this.
Yeah, no, and there's also just like a lot going on. So I didn't want to get into the details of like everything.
How many episodes is it?
I think this one I want to say was like maybe 40.
Oh my god.
Yeah, which for a novela is like
Nothing. But,
very conservative.
yeah. But for Netflix, do they give it to you in temporadas like of 13 episodes or no?
No, it's just one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's so like Latino. Like to get so many more capítulos.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a really good blend of like novela and like a season of a streamed show.
Now, is it shot like a novela or is it shot like a movie, like a show? Meaning, like, are the shots that they pick like very artistic in some levels, or is it like a play that you're watching that you sort of can do like some close-ups, but it's like a play, like the camera sort of like looking at what it's looking at? Do you know?
Is that so? Which one is which? Like,
so the novelas we shoot very much like a play, like people enter the stage and they sort of do their thing and then they leave the stage, right?
Okay.
But when you're shooting a series, like sometimes you come into things like off of a cup, right? Like as people are talking and then you find them. And so I'm just curious, like, is it like a series where you're really telling the story visually, or is it like a play in a novela where you're really like a fly on the wall in the thing?
You know, I never noticed that distinction, but you're right. That I see what you're saying now. I would say it's definitely shot more like a series.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like where you have more like, I would say, the composition of the shots. I would say it was more interesting than just watching action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm excited to see.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it keeps like so much like novela elements in it that's why I felt like this is still a novela for sure. But it is a blend. Yeah.
That's so interesting. I will say I miss the like soap opera sort of lower quality, like, you know, sort of shot with a video, like a home video camera kind of feel that a lot of our like novelas had, you know, back in the day, like in the 90s.
Yeah, well, and it's definitely, even though like there's situations of high drama, I would say like it's not, I think novelas had there's like a lot of comedy in the drama because it was so over the top.
Yeah, so melodramatic.
Where I feel like this one, like the situations were already so high stakes that like it's shot very realistically. So there's nothing where you're like, oh, come on, you know? Yeah. It was like, oh my God, that's really happening.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I do feel that they took like their time sort of developing the front end of it. And I feel like the end, like, they rushed, and maybe because they didn't have the amount of episodes you would in a normal novela.
It's like Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. Although that was so long.
It was so long. But the last season was only like 8 episodes. And so when really you were supposed to like get into the head of this woman who's now changing, right? Like who she is, and like it's not supposed to become so abrupt like the ending, and their romance is supposed to like feel spoiler alert, her and Jon Snow's like romance is supposed to like really develop. You don't have all those episodes to do that, so it's not that like satisfying when he kills her, you know, like there's not that like satisfying ending. But yeah, I think it's like novelas have like hundreds of capítulos, and so you can really grow with them. Yeah, and I think that definitely at the end it was like, okay, well, we need to come to a conclusion, and I think they use those like time lapses to like hurry it up. But it was still like, I mean, it was very intense, and there were so many like stories going on that I understand them needing to like, how do we wrap this up? Yeah. Yeah, so it was definitely, I mean, it still touches on the elements of like, well, you agree to like give up this child, but then you grow a bond with it, but in a very different way from the previous one. Because this one, it's like, they even told her like, it's very important not to develop a relationship with it. So as soon as you give it up, don't hold it, don't touch it, don't name the baby. And she was like, she was going to follow that stuff to the letter. And even when she woke up on that bench and it's just her and the baby, she like didn't want to feed the baby. Because she's like, they warned me about this. Oh, I don't want to get close. So she was like, come get your child. Like, she was trying to get a hold of him. And she was like, you need to come get this baby.
because she did not want it.
I don't understand though why Carlos at that point, like, he has money. Like, why wouldn't he just leave Julia and go be with Jenny and his son?
Well, this novela had a lot of episodes that kind of showed like mommy issues, and it was more about that.
Got it.
His
like
relationship.
He's attached to Nora.
Yes, his relationship to his mom, and like how much she controlled of all of their lives, and with the sister too. Like the sister also had like a lot of stuff going on, and it was always like the mom was who was in charge.
Amazing. I love it.
And like, I think just the concept of like, what does it mean to be a mom? And you see someone like Nora who like, you know, she had her children, you know, quote unquote, the natural way.
Yeah.
The old fashioned way. And she's like this horrible person who treats her kids as like assets in a way. And then you have like Julia, who she's such a complex character because she tried so hard to get this baby to the point where she like committed crimes and like harassed a person, changed her whole life completely. And then she gets this baby, and then she's so sad by the fact that like her husband doesn't love her anymore. And like for 17 years, she essentially ignores Tessa, which is why Tessa hates her. Because Tessa's like, my dad's been chasing this woman for years. My mom is sad. Like, it kind of tries to imply that Julia's been like clinically depressed for the past 17 years, which...
And are they trying to say that because she doesn't have a real biological bond with this baby, that's why they're not like... Because Julia doesn't know that until way later. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, that they're trying to imply because subconsciously she doesn't have a biological bond with this kid, so that's why it's easier for her to like leave her by the wayside?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't think that played into it. I think it was more about the fact that Julia was so sad all the time. She just didn't give her kid like any love or affection. And it was, as someone who watched her do all this like really horrible stuff just to get a child, to then watch her ignore her child for 17 years.
Oh my God, that would be so frustrating.
It was so frustrating because her child was trying, and that's why she got so close to Nora, because she was the only one that was paying attention to her.
Wow.
Like, parenting.
Oh my God, I can't wait to watch this now.
Yeah.
Amen.
Oh, good. Yeah. I didn't want to like ruin the whole thing, but like it's still so good. Like, even if you know like the end. Like, and I don't know. I don't even know how I felt about them getting together at the end, frankly, because I feel like the story wasn't really ever about the love between Jenny and Carlos. That was like the least important part of the story. It was more like, okay, what's going to happen with this like pharmaceutical company who's like doing all this shady stuff and like people are dying. Like,
I love it.
Yeah, it's really intense.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
But tell us where we can find you again.
Oh, yes. So I, if you don't mind, I'm going to plug my, I have a new platform that is like a learn as you go self-paced film school. So it's very affordable and basically just like pre-taped classes. So if people want to learn screenwriting or want to learn producing or want to learn directing, I made it just for like other people that are busy and maybe like don't want to spend a ton of money on film school, but still want to learn craft. Eventually, I'm going to try to entice you to do like an acting class on it too. But
ooh, entice away.
Yeah. But it's called DIY Film School. So it's DIYfilmschool.biz. And you can find us there. You can also find me on at Gabby with 2 B's, REV Lugo on Twitter. And on Instagram, I'm at Gabby with 2 B's, R Lugo.
And I will highly recommend the classes. I know I took like an earlier iteration of one of the elements, because I know you have different components, like you have the directing, the writing, and like I took the pitch class, and I will just say like it was so helpful. Yeah, as someone who I come from an acting background, and also I love to write, but I don't know anything about how to like sell anything, how to pitch to people. Like, I'm coming from a complete point of like ignorance, and I don't have time or money to go to film school at this point. So taking your class for me was really helpful. It's in like a manageable amount of time. It was like, I knew how much it was, so I was gonna like set my little money aside like little by little. And it's not like, considering what you're providing and also how much these things cost, it is a manageable amount. So I was very grateful that I got to take this class, and I learned so much, and have now gone back to like rework things that I had created in the past. And I'm feeling much more like, I'm feeling less out of my element, I guess. So
that makes me feel so good. I'm so glad that you got something out of it. And I will just say, we never want cost to be a factor for anybody. So if there is like a payment plan that you want to like set aside, even if it's like a year, even if it's like $50, as you go, we will work with you.
Thank you. And that is so helpful. I did a payment plan, and it was like manageable. And like I said, like, it's just being anywhere in this industry is just so expensive. So knowing that it's like, I'm taking advice from people who know what they're doing, someone who's been through it, and like everything you gave me was very concrete information, which I appreciated. Because I feel like sometimes, especially with like artistic things, they're like, teachers are often like, oh, that was great, okay, try it this way. And I'm like, okay, cool. But you actually, I think, provided things where you were like, okay, asking me the right questions. And then you gave me examples of, I'm a visual learner, so seeing examples of things that you have done in the past was really helpful. So please sign up, look up the classes, and check out the roster of like what you can take. I highly recommend it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And you can find me at Gloria the Actress on Instagram and Facebook, and Noveleando at Noveleando Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And please keep watching novelas, and we'll keep talking about them, and like tell me like what you guys want to talk about.
You should watch.
Yes.
Velvet.
Oh, you had mentioned that one before. Wait, what is it on?
Velvet, you can find on Netflix.
Okay.
And there's so many seasons, so many capítulos, and all I will say is that it is set in another time period, which our novelas like don't always do. I mean, there's some, like Corazón Salvaje, but this one is set in another time period, and it is set in a fashion house.
Ooh, all right. Well, I will look into it. And I'm so excited because there's like so many new things available now with streaming. Yeah. So I have like so many new things that I just want to go and explore. And I appreciate so much that you took the time to come chat novelas with me.
Yes, always, anytime.
And remember to, have fun out there, live a good life, live dramatically, and live novelally. Bye!
Bye!